Good morning. All right, it is so wonderful to see everyone here. Families and friends, faculty, staff, alumni, and students, both here in historic Kezar Stadium or streaming from what I hope are comfortable chairs around the globe. Welcome to Urban's 54th graduation ceremony. Perhaps like me, you are pinching yourself that this event is truly happening. And there is no shame in admitting that there have been times over the past few years when optimism has felt downright naive. In a world that has conspired against certainty, conspired against the best laid plans. So let's sit back, exhale, and appreciate this moment. Now, I don't mean to suggest a full-on meditation, for a quiet mind is a tall order on a day like today, as we all manage an alchemy of memories and anticipation, nervousness and fatigue, jubilation, pride, and the poignant reality of the passage of time. Because graduations are not just milestones nor rites of passage as they are often described, but rather busy intersections of the past and the present and the future. And they compete for our attention and inevitably collide. It's not hard at all for our faculty and staff to look back fondly on these soon-to-be graduates in their less sophisticated, less polished incarnations, who in all their pre-pandemic innocence rushed headlong into their urban future, into our hallways, usually lost, often late, tremendously eager. And over the next few years, the faculty and staff administration have been there for their intellectual epiphanies and emotional meltdowns, their achievements and disappointments, and then on abrupt demand, their courage and resilience and perseverance, a trinity of now familiar adjectives that circumstances pressed upon them in ways that none of us could imagine. So for those of us fortunate enough to work at Urban, we are proud witnesses and investors in their emergence along the way into grace and poise, and with wisdom that more normal times might have better forestalled, but wisdom we dare to hope will serve them well as we imagine their futures. Got kind of somber in here. Families, especially parents and guardians, there simply isn't time to fully consider the disorienting temporal whiplash occasioned by your child's graduation. For almost 2 decades, you have tethered your peace of mind to the agonies and ecstasies of your children's maturation, their aspirations and disappointments, first loves and heartbreak, emerging values, talents, and priorities. Where does pride end and relief begin? Surely there have been hours that have passed like centuries in excruciating slow motion, times when it seemed this day could never come. And then again, you've blinked, and that infant in the car seat, the toddler in the onesie, the middle schooler with the newly minted braces and too much body spray has become a young adult. Recent concerns that might have felt momentous to you, unreturned text messages or broken curfews or application deadlines, might now seem almost charming given the advantages of hindsight and the far more existential anxieties of our times. Today, your children's threshold, your children's crossroads are yours as well, though you reach them perhaps more reluctantly than they do. And this, of course, is how it should be. And finally, students, perhaps you are discovering that graduation so glossy and straightforward on TV are a bit deeper than that. You're not yet practiced in nostalgia, but you're learning on the fly. Aside from the immediate concerns of where to sit and what shoes to wear and how to gracefully navigate family dynamics, there's perhaps a dawning reality. Seated beside you are your confidants and crushes, your teammates and castmates and soulmates, the people who you have come of age with as you have become truly yourselves. And up in those bleachers or on live stream, There are people who have loved you unconditionally, even on your surliest days. But just now, maybe you're starting to wonder how long to wait before turning your bedroom into a study. Maybe not quite yet, but you can't really blame them either, because your minds appropriately are halfway out the door, over the rainbow to a collegiate Oz where fabulousness awaits, reinvention, opportunity, possibility, endless, and dare to dream a maskless reality. With all that is in your heads and hearts this morning, you have earned a slight suspension from reality and the glazed smiles you might be wearing. And when you look at pictures from today, a few years from now, you may marvel that you were ever really here. But if you can retain just a few fragments of my remarks this morning, I hope that what follows are those that might stick with you, because I want to close by thanking the many people who enriched and allowed your urban odyssey during a time that brought new and vivid meaning to words like dedication and care and commitment. How do any of us begin to thank teachers and staff members from Urban who've managed their own fear and dislocations while simultaneously reinventing their very professions again and again and again? In a time of great loss and hardship, they stepped up and through the uncertainty to create something meaningful and real for the days we've spent together, virtually and in person, and to send you off ready to take advantage of whatever comes next. So let's have a round of applause for this school's extraordinary faculty and staff. Parents and guardians, families, I always stall when I think about how to thank you at this point in your children's lives. How does one do justice to all you have given your children over 17 or 18 years? How does one enumerate the infinite, the sheer mechanics, logistics, and sacrifice of parenthood in the modern age? And much more profoundly, the hopes you have invested, the perspective and humor you have marshaled, the vulnerability that is part and parcel of your love for your children, especially in these last few years when so much has felt and has been beyond your control. You have trusted the school, and you have at every turn put your children's needs ahead of your own, and this ceremony recognizes your commitment as well. Thank you. But students, who I will have trouble facing while I talk, but imagine I'm looking that way. Class of 2022, this is your day. I say my final words of appreciation for all of you. Your collective legacy is arguably more significant than any graduating class that has ever preceded you. When we returned to school this fall, you were the only students on the campus that had experienced a full year of in-person school. And so you were the torchbearers, the through lines to a unique and precious school culture that could easily have perished, but that in fact was sustained, though edited, through your example. You are, I think all gathered here know, a very talented class, and you have shown in pretty much every arena of school life. But beyond what you have achieved, it's how you achieved and that you achieved that is most impressive. Given the temptation you must have occasionally or not so occasionally felt over the past few years to simply curl up and zone out, and I mean that literally as well as metaphorically, your tenacity to aspire and engage, your ability, your determination to find empathy and energy and joy have been a continual source of marvel and inspiration for the rest of us. And so on behalf of the Blues past, present, and future, we thank you and we congratulate you. So it is now my great pleasure to introduce our first speaker, Elijah Sandler. So Elijah, like all the speakers you will hear today, was chosen by the members of the graduating class. Immediately following Elijah's speech, we'll hear from the senior members of the Urban Singers and Chamber Orchestra.
Should have brought paper clips. Thank you, Ori. I'm making you wait. Okay. Hi, everyone. My name is Elijah Sandler, and this is my speech. Merriam-Webster's dictionary defines community as a unified body of individuals, such as the people with common interests living in a particular area. Merriam-Webster's dictionary also defines community as a social state or condition. The third definition, you know what? What does Merriam-Webster's dictionary know about community? I'm gonna speak from the heart. I define community as my graduating class, the Urban School of San Francisco class of 2022. Group of strong people, not just, physically, but emotionally. Oh, we do have some bodybuilders out there, Jacob, I see you. I think of all the things we've been through together. Poorly timed fire alarms, actual fires started by yams in the microwave, the unprecedented times of COVID-19, shooter and bomb threats, but we stuck through it all together. Sorry, that was really dumb. Anybody and their sister could have written that. How unoriginal. Pretty much every school in the country experienced COVID. And I say pretty much because some thought it was a hoax. It's a terrible situation, but it's so general. We're just one grade in a small high school, in a big state, in a huge country, on a medium-sized planet, in this vast solar system. You get the idea. But bottom line is, sorry, we're not that special. Okay, let me get back on track here. And boy, have we had good times. I mean, the dance parties in the student center, so much fun. All those crazy things we put in the time capsule. Nathan Rockman, a shoe, that was really stinky. Every single one of our class days. In the just general shenanigans during 15-minute breaks. Classic us. We're all different people, but we really know how to put that all aside and have a good time. Remember that one party we threw that went super late? Crazy night. Yeah. Okay, I'm sorry. I mean, I can't read this. Who wrote this? That note card up at the beginning was so stupid. And, okay. Don't tell Dan this, but can we just talk for a second, just you and me? I'm starting to question what this speech is really even for. I get up here on this stage, behind this podium, and I tell you a bunch of things you've already heard. How we're all gonna do great things, how we're all gonna miss Urban, how we've had so much fun in high school. Okay, class days, not that fun. I don't like forced bonding. 15-minute breaks, way to make a freshman or sophomore feel very socially awkward, 2 to 3 times a day. And dance parties, that one's simple. I don't dance. And then the time capsule, okay, maybe it was nice having the grade come back together to see what we put in there freshman year, but that's not the point. The point is that it all feels like a premature reminiscing, like this forced nostalgia for something that frankly isn't done yet. We've still got 13 hours left, and then there's the whole summer. There's still time for me to bond with you all, because I still don't really know all of you. I may have started attending Urban freshman year, but it didn't feel like I actually went here until the beginning of this year. I kept my life as a high school student and my life as an individual completely separate. School is something I had to do, a place I had to go to learn. When I came home, my parents were my only friends. They were really good friends, but maybe I was too scared or just happy with them. But I didn't hang out with anyone from Urban outside of school until junior year. Even then it was just with one person. I would take off whatever happy guise I had put on during school and replace it with another one to show that one person to my parents and to myself, because I didn't learn how to share myself until I was told that I hadn't been for 3 years. On one of the last days of junior year, I was stone carving in the garden with Ezra when he told me that everyone in our grade thought I was nice but mysterious. No one knew anything about me. When I heard this, I was scared and worried, but mostly scared. I had been telling myself that I wasn't happy, that I was happy when I wasn't. I didn't have the friends I wanted to have or the comfortability that it seemed everyone else had. I was scared in the halls. I was scared to speak in class, scared to talk to my peers during breaks, at class days, dance parties. I was even scared of the freshmen because I didn't know who they were. I didn't want to go through senior year feeling as lonely as I did. So I did just about the nerdiest and most socially awkward thing someone who was lonely could do. I started playing Dungeons & Dragons. It was on the last day of junior year when we planned our first session on the offhand remark that Darby sometimes ran games. I remember feeling out of place in the group that was already half established, like an intruder, similar to how I felt at Urban, until they actually told me that they enjoyed my company and they liked having me there. It was the first time that I felt a sense of belonging with people from Urban, like I could belong at Urban. That was when I began to share things about myself, starting with what has now arguably become a classic. How I pooped my pants in 2nd grade and I blamed it on PJ. I've told this story maybe 10 or 12 times. I've told it on class days, I've told it over dinner, I've told it on 15-minute breaks. If I had the opportunity, often regardless of the listener's desire to hear it, I told it. I'd stumbled across this golden anecdote. It was silly enough where I wasn't scared to tell it, strange enough to be funny, and personal enough to feel vulnerable. And each and every time, this story of my size small soiled pants brought us closer. I was less scared in class, more confident in the halls. I didn't care that I didn't know the freshmen. I even danced at some parties. And y'all were interested, little shit-loving freaks. You wanted to hear about my poopy pants. And I can't believe I'm about to say this, but it made me feel at home. So it may be a premature reminiscing, and it might feel like this forced nostalgia. That's because I don't want to admit that I have to leave you all. I don't want to think back to all the fun times and hard times in high school because I don't want those times to stop. But if I had to. When I think about my graduating class, the Urban School of San Francisco, class of 2022, I think about how you changed my mind.
Lovely. We will, well, now we're going to hear from two more student speakers, followed by the advanced jazz band, the senior members. So first, Niall Edmonds is going to speak, followed by Audrey Douglas, and then again, the senior members of the advanced jazz band.
We good? Oh, okay. I haven't been in front of this many teaching students since I was on conduct review. All right. The Gregorian calendar, as we know it today, was introduced in October of 1582 by Pope Gregory XIII as a revision of the Julian calendar. The latter was drawn out in 46 before calendar era by Julius Caesar with the help of Greek astronomers. But it had one major flaw. There were too many days in the calendar year. The Gregorian calendar managed to fix the compounding effects of this miscalculation, such as the solstice and equinox happening before their expected dates. This correction made leap years occur every 4 years instead of 3. But in doing so, we lost 10 days. But fast forward to 160,594 laters to today, and it is safe to say that no one is really concerned about those 10 lost days. At Urban, there can be too much going on to even give the time to route our self-evaluations, let alone a scheduling conflict between a long-gone emperor and a long-gone pope. It is astonishing to consider that we have known each other for 1,000 days and seen each other for nearly as many, give or take a few days when accounting for our vacations and projector cart-related injury leaves. 1,500 days ago, the only thing on my mind was how my first day of high school was going to turn out. September of that same year, I found myself sitting in the hallway across my English teacher. She had pulled me out of class for not completing my reading homework assigned to me over the first weekend of freshman year. It was at that moment I realized that high school was going to be a shift into a new gear for me, as well as the beginning of a pattern in my early years at Urban. The rest of that freshman year was a trial by fire that attempted to make me a better student, but only really left me lost and confused. Whether it was being surrounded by scary sophomores in Spanish, or the essays that took eons to draw out of me in History 9B, every day of schoolwork just made me feel less like a part of the Urban way. There was never really a point in those 10 months between fall and spring where I felt that I had a grasp on school to the same degree as my classmates, a sensation which urged me to transfer out of Urban. Towards the end of freshman year, I nearly decided to move on from this school and try again somewhere else. Well, luckily, I never went through with that decision, partially because my options weren't all that inviting, but also because deep inside me, I knew that there was still something to be taken away from my time here. With only 1 year down, it was time to dust myself off and move on. But in retrospect, had even one of those days lost to the Gregorian calendar been placed somewhere during that first term of freshman year, it would have helped me a lot in learning the ropes of this school. Sophomore year was a reality check in many ways. To start, schoolwork still proved cumbersome despite my absolute assertion that freshman year was just a rough start for me. But something clicked that winter term that would set a change of my outlook on the world in motion. It was the last day of school before winter break had just ended, and my friends and I decided to go for dim sum on Clement Street. With 2 weeks of break ahead of me, I finally had the chance to truly let go of classes and spend time without that pressure on the front of my mind. I didn't really think much of it as I was chipped away at the pork buns on our table. But looking back on it, that day has come to represent what I remember most about Urban: spending time with all of you. Without that foggy afternoon in sophomore year, I probably wouldn't understand what it means to spend time with all the people here. My fond memories of high school have been forged from the days where we let the moment take us somewhere new together. And had that timetable tampering not happened back in 1582, I would have gladly spent one of those 10 lost days with the friends I've already made here, and even getting to know some new ones too. It was during my junior year then that I was shown the flip side of the moment's ability to take me somewhere new. It happened on a morning bicycle ride, but just before school, through the far side of Golden Gate Park. And honestly, all I can really remember from that exact moment was being in the saddle of my bike, and then suddenly not being in the saddle of my bike. As I tried to collect myself, I noticed a small vacancy where the end of my front tooth once was. As I spent the rest of the day going to and from the hospital, it dawned on me just how quickly change can happen. While we can pick and choose who we are and aren't friends with, we can't always choose what happens to us and what happens to those we spend our time with. But said moments also teach us valuable lessons beyond what even the most memorable all-school meeting tangents couldn't teach us. So why wish for more predictable days? As nice it would have been to have those 10 lost days back, the truth is that life in and outside of urban over the years has made me realize that maybe, just maybe, I've already made all the memories I could wish for. An extra day here and there wouldn't help me love climbing with friends any more than I do, show me that I love lunchtime in the art room any more than I do, or make me hate the old 4-day week schedule any less than I did. With too much extra time, I would have never seen the value that just one day can hold. Well, every day marks a point between our past that made us who we are today and our futures ready to be made our present. But it seems prevalent today more than ever as we stand between our past at high school and this new chapter in our lives. When we look back at our 4 years here, we probably won't remember Urban's mission statement or the areas in which we improved over the term. But what we will remember is high school as a sum of the days that brought us closer together or even separated us. The days where we became familiar with ourselves or grappled with a change in who we are. Because that is really what brought us together today, at graduation. Moving forwards, all we can really do is make the most of each day and curb our assumptions of who we will be. Because when the course of your life could change in a matter of only 24 hours, it is a waste of time to worry over who you will be in 1, 2, or even 4 years' time. So here's to 1,000 days of knowing each other, and let's hope we don't lose 10 more. Thank you and take care.
Hi, I'm Audrey. I'm sure this will come as a shock to most of you, but I do a lot of theater, and I've noticed a pattern. On days when cast lists come out, especially ones I have strong feelings about, bad things tend to happen to me. It often feels kind of mean on the part of whoever's narrating my life. Like, I feel like they're just having a bad day and need a punching bag. The first time I experienced this was the night before the cast list came out for fall production my sophomore year. The front of my family's house had caught on fire. Once it was mostly out, the fire department and arson police came. They started asking me if I had any enemies at school, so if this was any of you, now would be a great time to tell me. Anyway, after answering some more questions that I thought only existed on crime dramas, it was off to bed. When I got up in the morning, I had a truly awful stomach ache, the kind where it feels malicious on the part of your body, where you think, I thought we were supposed to be a team. There's no ouch in team stomach, please stop. I missed my morning class, but I needed to go in the afternoon for a science test. Sophomore year, I think I would have made it to a science test even if the house had been actively burning. I start walking to school, I get a notification, it's the cast list, I open it, I have some feelings, but by this point it's kind of just like, well, this might as well happen. The second time was a bit simpler. It was this year. I'd gotten sent home because I thought I had COVID, but it was the very beginning of the year, so this was before that had happened to literally everyone. So I was huddled in my little beanbag in my room, overanalyzing everything that that was happening in my body, and I get the cast list, and again, I thought, this might as well happen. Maybe this is just the universe preparing me for it, like just tire her out so she doesn't react. It kind of works. Aside from this weird phenomenon, my experience with theater has been one of the best parts of my time at Urban. I've had really big emotions since I was a little kid. When I got excited, my parents used to say they thought I was going to fly away because I would bounce around and flap my hands so aggressively. I can also hold quite the grudge, but I do my best not to. My angsty underclassman self used to think that this was a bad thing that I had to hide from people, but theater has shown me otherwise. Playing a sad person, a sad and angry person, and an angry person this year was incredibly cathartic. I also found out I'm really good at screaming, so if that ever comes in handy, I'll be ready. One beautiful thing about theater is that you relive the story every night. This also means new things can go wrong every night, but that often adds to the fun of it. Getting to see people handle it when their hat flies off or the cow breaks prematurely makes that show feel even more special. I think that's part of the excitement of theater, and being on stage is much less scary when you know that your cast members are around to help you deal with it if something goes strange. I don't want to say wrong. In one act, we had to replace 3 members of the cast in the final couple weeks of the show. We knew it was a possibility that something like this would happen, but when it did, especially with so many people at once, I think we were all a bit scared. But there were people there ready to step in and put in the work, and kind of against all odds, it went off without a hitch. Sometimes theater reminds me of an outdoor ed trip that my school went on in 8th grade. For one of our day trips, they chucked us into a pitch-dark cave and told us that to find our way through, each person had to help the person behind them figure out where to put their hands and feet, since only the person in the front knew where we were going without light. This is quite the gamble with middle schoolers, but no one fell, so I consider that a success. I feel like we've spent a lot of high school in this cave. It's hard to see a way out, and it feels like there's some force trying to tire us out so that we don't react to things. Like so many things that happen just might as well happen. And you know what? It worked. I am tired. It has felt like a lot of sparks have burnt out, and we've been feeling around in the dark for the last while. I've been a punctual person since my life began. I was born exactly on my due date. But recently, no matter what I do, it seems like I always end up being exactly 3 minutes late. And I also just don't have the energy to go to sleep, which sounds counterintuitive, but it's real. Sometimes it felt hard to try to even look for a way out of the cave. Sometimes fumbling for handholds got tiring, but someone else's hands were almost always there to help me find where to put mine. I didn't even always know who they were attached to, but they would show up and help me find a stable place to anchor myself or a way to move out of the one I was stuck in. I want to say thank you all for that. That feeling has meant the world to me. About a week and a half before a show, there's always a point where we really believe it's not going to happen. Even though we've done so much of the work, there's no possible way it'll come together, and there's still so much to do, and what if we don't finish everything, et cetera, et cetera. I feel like I'm at this point in my life. I'm so close to something, but I can't see it yet, or at least I can't touch it. There are colors, but the image isn't in focus, and I'm worried it never will be. I have a hard time trusting that the hands will be there. In theater, even the day before the show, I always feel like we're not going to be ready, or something is going to go terribly wrong, or it's just not going to happen, but it always does. There's always a show, whether we're ready or not, though usually we actually are. And if something goes wrong, there's usually a hand there. But even if there isn't, if you feel around a bit, you can often find one. Whether we're ready or not, this is going to happen. So let's have a great show. Thank you.
2. So stand up and keep on clapping.
Get on your feet.
We can't hear you.
One more time.
Let's try that. That's right, English. Hi, I'm Lindsay. I hope everyone is enjoying your complimentary graduation day sauna treatment. I know I am. So when you give a commencement speech, it turns out that a lot of people pop up to start giving you advice, and it's really on a spectrum of usefulness. So my mom wanted me to say, and she's Texan, Lindsay, go out and tell them to vote. We have messed it up. Go vote. My friend Sarah wanted to tell me, don't act nervous. If you seem nervous, everyone will feel sorry for you. She's a Scorpio, so I think that explains that. So it's really special for me to get to talk to you today because you all came to Urban when I did. You're the first group of students I've known for all 4 years, from the very beginning to graduation. And you're also the first 9th graders I'd ever taught. And I was really nervous about that because I imagined you as slightly bigger middle schoolers, maybe just a little more nervous and wanting to make a good impression, but still totally feral. And my fears were totally warranted. Let's take a quick prance down memory lane. Okay, first term, 9th grade, English 1A. I stepped out of the classroom to get water. This was maybe a 30 to 45 second round trip maximum. As I walked back into the classroom, another teacher who was teaching in the classroom next door, and you can't see this, but I'm practicing what I preach and I'm citing my sources. So I have a footnote here that says, Brooke Roberts, intercepted me and told me, I just told your class to bleep, 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 bleep. So from that moment on, my reputation as a new teacher was tied to yours. And trying to be a good captain, I went down with the ship, and we instituted Freak Out Fridays, where the first 20 minutes of class were dedicated to the noisiest and most random skill-sharing session ever. The Izzy Juice Bottle Orchestra was a good one, and the Anamasto Dance Party, a classic. And then there's the day that you all convinced me that one of your compatriots wasn't back in the classroom after break because they were stuck in the bathroom with rather unpleasant gastrointestinal distress, and you were all reading me what were supposedly their desperate texts from the bathroom pleading for help. What kind of help did you need? All the while they're actually hiding in the classroom. And recently, Jesse Mosher reminded me of another occasion. Hey, Lindsay, remember that one day when you got into the fetal position? And alarmingly, I don't, which speaks to the power of compartmentalization. Fortunately, there are receipts out there, photos of me standing on the table without shoes, dancing, trying to get your attention, which was apparently a tactic I used a lot in 2018. So today, as you've grown into people whose wisdom, self-insight, and kindness have sustained me in our conversations in and out of class, and as the world keeps handing us incalculable losses, I see that you taught me something really important in Freak Out Fridays. You were essentially ungovernable. I'll return to why this is such a profound teaching and gift, but first I want to establish some important principles. So as one form of acknowledgement, I want us to know we are convened on the unceded land of the Ramaytush Ohlone, and may we offer our respect to their elders past, present, and future. And as another acknowledgement, if you're able, you can even take this practice a step farther and pay a land tax called Shumi to an organization called the Sogoreate Land Trust in the East Bay. Shumi means gift in one Ohlone language, Chochenyo. By paying the Shumi land tax, you are helping the Bay Area Ohlone rematriate the land. This is how they define rematriate: to restore a people to their rightful place in sacred relationship with their ancestral land. Karina Gold, who's one of the leaders of Sogoreate, says Ohlone identify as salmon people who have a responsibility, quote, to sing to those salmon as they come home, to sing to them as they go out into the ocean. It's a responsibility because they feed us, they feed the lands, they take care of us, end quote. So if we define sacred as something worth devoting yourself to and protecting, what comes up for you when I ask, what is your rightful place in sacred relationship to land? I'm talking about this not just because we need to be better environmentalists and heal the earth, which of course has to happen. I want to say to you that moving through your life with this question, what is my rightful place in sacred relationship to this land, can serve you. This kind of noticing and observation can offer you refuge and a source of joy when everything else feels wrong. So let's do more to acknowledge the land, because there's a lot going on here. Under this grass, and if you were sitting on it under your chair, 1 teaspoon of the soil contains between 100 million and 1 billion microorganisms. And footnote, Mary Murphy. And if a leaf were to blow under your chair right now, there would be 1 to 10 million bacteria per square centimeter on a leaf. We also have 1.5 trillion microbes on our skin. And as Mary says, bless these little dudes. Amen. And then let's also acknowledge the Earth's structure and history. And here I'm quoting Jeff Ruth. Everything on the surface here is sand blown in over tens of thousands of years from the coast. The sand came in turn down the Sacramento River from the Sierra and represents weathering and erosion of the granite in those mountains. San Francisco was covered with thick sand dunes before European colonization. Many, many meters under the sand is probably chert, originally formed in the middle of the ocean from the buildup of microscopic skeletons of marine plankton. Land acknowledgements can sometimes, I worry, be turned into a kind of abstract requirement that we use to signal that we are good guests of this land. We know people were here before us and we are responsible for their absence, and then we just move on. So what if we really saw the landscape around us and on us and in us as responsible for our lives and actually just as alive and having just as real of an experience as we are? And a source that if we become its apprentice could bring us closer to a joyful, loving repairing of our relationships to ourselves and each other. The Irish philosopher John O'Donohue says, "It makes a huge difference when you wake up in the morning and come out of your house, whether you believe you're walking into a dead geographical location, which is just used to get to a destination, or whether you're emerging out into a landscape that is just as much, if not more alive as you, but in a totally different form. And if you go towards it with an open heart and a real watchful reverence, you'll be absolutely amazed at what it will reveal to you." Robin Wall Kimmerer, professor of environmental biology and member of the citizen Potawatomi Nation, tells us that in her nation and way of knowing the world, there is no reason to think that plants and even rocks don't have consciousness. They are not objects. They are alive and animate and have presence that we can sense and relate to even if we don't understand it. This Potawatomi way of knowing informs Kimmerer's work as a scientist, and science supports this way of knowing. Kimmer says, I can't think of a single scientific study in the last few decades that has demonstrated that plants or animals are dumber than we think. It's always the opposite. And if you're even a little watchful right now, you can see the terrible fruits of the last 200 years plus of our state and country's push for rapid growth and profit at the expense of life itself. Philosopher of science Donna Haraway and my former advisor, shout out Donna, sums up our current crisis like this. Right now, the earth is full of refugees, human and otherwise, with no place to take refuge. We urgently need to create refuge for all beings, human and otherwise, suffering from violence and hatred and fear and extinction and fleeing and unable to flee unlivable conditions. But building a refuge starts inside each of us. This is where I want to return to your ungovernable energy. When the writer and activist Sonia Renee Taylor says it's time to be ungovernable, she means that we must refuse accepting gun violence and killing Black and brown bodies as normal. Maybe we take to the streets or otherwise put our bodies on the line. So being ungovernable is a refusal of oppression and hopelessness and resignation and despair, but it's also a choice, choosing life and joy and abundance. In Freak Out Fridays, you were all really saying enough of this week, enough focusing and sitting still. Let's just play. But it's really so much more than that, than just throwing things at each other, sort of gently, and bottle orchestras. You were refusing exhaustion and just pushing through. You were not refusing the importance of your education. You were just saying, we can choose joy and wildness too. We can be feral, regroup, and then come back to have incredible conversations. You must keep this. This is refuge. It doesn't go on a rubric. It is not marketable. You can't get it by pulling all-nighters and working and working and working toward the next goal of college, a job, a career, a family, all the things that you invest in to bring you security and happiness and self-worth and recognition. Build and take refuge in the things that are off rubric. Because underneath your productivity, the parts of you that aren't going to dazzle or impress anyone, you're already just okay and you're already enough. The poet Mary Oliver has said this than pretty much anyone, I think, in her poem Wild Geese. You do not have to be good. You do not have to walk on your knees for 100 miles through the desert repenting. You only have to let the soft animal of your body love what it loves. She closes the poem with this. Whoever you are, no matter how lonely, the world offers itself to your imagination, calls to you like the wild geese, harsh and exciting, over and over announcing your place in the family of things. I'm going to close with some words from Alexis Pauline Gumbs. She has this incredible new book I'm reading with this great title called Undrowned, Black Feminist Lessons for Marine Mammals. And in this book, she calls herself a marine mammal apprentice. So some things that she learns and teaches me, and this is a quote. The breathing of whales is as crucial to our own breathing and the carbon cycle of the planet as the world's forests. If whales returned to their pre-commercial whaling numbers, their gigantic breathing would store as much carbon as a forest the size of Rocky Mountain National Park, end quote. Baby Weddell seals' moms push them off the ice into the water, a process that terrifies them because they don't know yet that they actually do know how to swim, eventually 2,500 feet under the sea. Gumbs writes of a baby seal, she will feel completely at home in the ocean she has avoided. But right now she is coughing and spitting and clinging to what she has known. She feels like she is drowning, but she's just meeting herself again for the first time. Spinner dolphins, I learned, are not just one species, but really just any dolphin who jumps out of the water and spins anywhere from 4 to 7 times. There are theories about why they spin, but no one really knows. But if you could swim in a pod, sometimes up to 3,000, and leap from the ocean to spin fly through the air, wouldn't you do that? You get to tune in to your own pure joy because it's a vehicle that brings you to yourself. And in meeting yourself, you know that you are never really alone. You are here and sustained by and actually really inseparable from whale breath and microorganisms in the sandy soil and the water from the Sierras now in your bottle and your people, your pod. You already have your rightful place. You always did. And the great thing is, as you go travel into new ecosystems, you don't have to go looking for this thing I've been talking about. Your goodness and the sacred world that supports you is already here if you turn toward it and listen. I love you all. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Lindsay. So, before diplomas are granted, a quick moment here, if you will. A school does not become itself quickly or permanently. In fact, it's living. This is very apropos of Lindsay's speech. The school is a living, evolving organism shaped by circumstances and by each generation of students who inhabit it for 3 or 4 years, and each generation of faculty and staff, some of whom make this school their life's work. In that spirit, I am honored to present diplomas to 2 teachers, Debbie Samake and Richard Lautsy, who have, they have served this school 26 and 41 years, respectively. And these 2 people have been critically important to creating, protecting, and personifying the values of the urban school. It is my honor, Richard and Debbie. We will now begin the presentation of diplomas. Charisse Wu, the 12th grade dean, will be reading the graduates' names. And pay close attention. Per urban tradition, names will be read in random order.
Ready? Y'all ready? Palmer Davy Dean. Adam Pantalat. Jesse Mosher. Lily Quick. Quinton Bone. Mira Vestal. Isabella Ballin. Teague Millette. Edward Ryan Means. Sophie Brzezinski. Otis Woolback. Coulter Murphy. Emma Chung, in absentia. Ava Reichman. Nico Benjamin Desirega. Lucas Oberwager. Xander Nonaka. Helena Hess. Samuel Ball. Perry Francis Hee-Jing Yoon. Ezra Bergson Michelson. David Vapnik. Kylene Kiana Apana. Bluma Lizak. Rowan Anzu Hunt. Orla Meehan. Niall Edmonds. Mira Chu Chandriani. Ben Katznelson. Alex Strauss. Max Miller. Ivy Alice Armstrong. Lachlan Steer. Kian Davis. Sophia Shu. Michael Shazline. Sarah Kelly. Ella Marion Jeffries. Callahan Mainzer. Adrian Vazna Sanchez. Caroline Ming-An Wu. Josh Mayer. Sophie Van Natta. Shane McNabb. Ava Grace D'Souza. Mina Weiss. Graylin McElvery. Catherine David. Callum John Yeaman. Delancey Gato. Emilio Huizar. Isaac Salzman. Fiona Walter. Cole Bassick.
Thank you, Cherise.
Maya Campbell. Grace Lily Neesmith. Bryce Yang. Enzo Klaus. Isadora Newman. Alexandra Claire Lee. Roger Arevalo. Lauren Edwards. Paulo Chen Serenio. Kiara Atkin. Zadie Winthrop. Nathan Rockman. Samuel Goldberg. Catherine Jane Wilkins. Joshua Jew. Audrey Douglas. Nicholas Francis Sanders Shepherd. Ori Jane Rindall. Caleb Michael Lee. Noah Marlowe Resnikoff. Darby Cash Dolan. Stella Sears Bicknell. Silas Grout. Pablo Lopez. Elijah Hennon. Hannah Tawadris. Lucy Roberts. Quincy Hirsch. Paget Eleanor Chung. Nicholas Miller. Brendan Deasy. Audrey Mullen. Lourdes Sanchez. Suwada Duvet. Quinn Ryan. Jacob Spiegel. Josephine Zoe Brenner. Hadley Griffin Schmidt. Philo Judson. Felix Feldman. Julia Evelyn Susser. Anna Genestra Masto. Ryan Steinbach. Willow Brown. Maddie Thorpe. Ben Kenvin. Talia Harrison. Elijah Sandler. Athena MacDonald. Sophia Gibson. Marlon Jensen Hernandez, Jr. Eliana Howell. Please join me in congratulating the graduates of the class of 2022.
Before you disperse, I have one set of lost car keys. So if you have keys on a lanyard that says tigerclaw.com and they're in a leather pouch, they are at the sound booth.